Picture this. You are exhausted. Every muscle in your body wants to shut down, but the place where you have to sleep is open, exposed, and surrounded by animals that can see, smell, or hear far better in the dark than you can. There is no door to lock, no wall between you and the night. And once you fall asleep, you lose the one thing that normally keeps you alive: awareness. Yet humans and our ancestors somehow spent countless nights sleeping in landscapes shared with large predators. So how did they do it without being eaten in their sleep? The problem may have started before humans had anything resembling a campsite. Our closest ape relatives show that sleeping on the ground is possible even without fire or walls. Chimpanzees usually build sleeping nests in trees, but some populations also make nests directly on the ground. Gorillas frequently sleep on the ground as well. That does not tell us exactly when our own ancestors stopped sleeping in trees. Modern apes cannot serve as a photograph of the human past, but they do show something important. Ground sleeping does not automatically require fire, houses, or elaborate technology. At some point in our evolutionary history, sleeping on the ground became increasingly normal. And once that happened, the problem changed. In a tree, one major danger is falling. On the ground, danger can approach from almost any direction. Fire eventually changed that equation, but probably not in the simple way we imagine. A fire does not make an entire landscape safe. It creates a small zone of light, heat, smoke, and human activity. Beyond that circle, the night remains the night. Many large predators are cautious around active fires and humans. So fire could have made a sleeping place less attractive to an approaching animal, but that protection came with conditions. Fire needs fuel. Fuel has to be gathered, the fire has to survive long enough to matter, and someone occasionally has to wake up and maintain it. Fire did not erase the problem. It changed the problem into something humans could manage. But predators were not the only danger. There was also the ground itself. Bare earth can be cold. It can be damp. It can hold biting insects and parasites. And spending hours pressed against it creates an entirely different set of risks. Archaeology gives us unusually direct evidence that ancient humans were solving this problem. At Border Cave in South Africa, researchers found traces of grass bedding dating back roughly 200,000 years. Plant material had been deliberately placed on living surfaces. Some layers were associated with ash, suggesting that people repeatedly prepared the places where they rested and worked. At Sibudu Cave, also in South Africa, researchers found another remarkable example. Around 77,000 years ago, people there were using layered plant bedding. Some of the plants included aromatic leaves containing compounds known to repel or kill insects. We cannot know exactly what every person using those plants intended, but the placement makes the possibility difficult to ignore. The sleeping surface itself was being managed. Later layers at Sibudu also show evidence that old bedding was sometimes burned. That may have helped clean the living area, remove waste, reduce pests, or prepare the surface for another layer. Whatever the exact purpose, the pattern is clear. People were not simply collapsing onto bare cave floors. They were modifying the places where their bodies would spend the night. So now the sleeping place has several layers of protection. A fire may discourage some animals. A shelter reduces exposure. Plant bedding separates the body from cold ground and insects. But one problem remains. All of these systems become less useful if every person is completely unconscious at exactly the same time. Someone has to notice when something changes. A sound. An animal moving nearby, a fire beginning to die, a child waking, a stranger approaching camp. And this is where the story shifts from archaeology to human sleep itself. Researchers studying present-day hunter-gatherer and small-scale societies have found that human sleep does not always resemble the modern ideal of 8 uninterrupted hours. Studies among groups such as the Hadza, San, and Saimene have recorded sleep that can be shorter and more variable than many people in industrialized societies expect. People wake briefly. They fall asleep at different times. They rise at different times. On the level of one individual, that can look fragmented. But researchers studying the Hadza noticed something very different when they looked at the entire group. During the recorded nighttime periods, at least one adult was awake during almost all of the observed intervals. The figure was more than 99%. That does not mean someone had been officially assigned to stand guard. There was no evidence of a scheduled night watch. Instead, people naturally differed in when they fell asleep, when they woke, and how often they briefly became alert. Those individual differences overlapped. The result looked surprisingly like a rotating watch, not because anyone designed it, because the group almost never became completely unconscious at once. Researchers have described this as sentinel-like behavior. It is a fascinating possibility for understanding human sleep, but there is an important limit. The Hadza are living people, not fossils. Their sleep patterns do not prove exactly how Paleolithic humans slept. And the study does not prove that natural selection created fragmented sleep specifically to defend against predators. What it does show is something more modest, and still remarkable. Variation in ordinary human sleep can produce a group-level benefit. If people fall asleep and wake at slightly different times, complete group unconsciousness becomes surprisingly rare. That could matter in any environment where nighttime danger exists. Predators are one possibility, but so are fire, weather, conflict, sick children, or other threats. Now put the pieces together. The solution to prehistoric sleep was probably never one magical invention. It was not simply fire. It was not simply a cave. And it was probably not one exhausted person standing guard every night while everyone else slept. Instead, safety may have emerged from overlapping layers, a chosen sleeping place, shelter where available, fire when people could control it, prepared bedding beneath the body, multiple people sleeping close together, and different individuals waking at different moments through the night. No single layer had to be perfect. That is what makes the system powerful. If the fire becomes weak, someone may wake. If an animal approaches, several people are close enough to respond. If the ground is cold, bedding reduces direct exposure. If one person is deeply asleep, another may not be. The individual sleeper is vulnerable. The group is much harder to surprise. And that may reveal something larger about human evolution. Sleep looks like the ultimate individual activity. Your eyes close. Your awareness disappears. Your body becomes still. But for much of human history, sleep probably happened inside a social environment. You rested beside other people. Their presence changed your risk. Their fire warmed you. Their movement could wake you. Their waking hours overlapped with yours. Even unconsciousness could become safer when it happened in a group. That does not mean prehistoric nights were peaceful. They almost certainly were not always safe. Large carnivores shared landscapes with humans for enormous stretches of our evolutionary history. Weather changed. Fires failed. People became sick. And sometimes whatever protection a group had was not enough. But humans did not need to make the night harmless. They only needed to reduce the risk enough to sleep, recover, and wake up again. Night after night, generation after generation. Today we treat sleep as something that happens behind a locked door, inside a private room, in a controlled temperature. For most of human history, those protections did not exist. The protection was distributed. A fire, a shelter, a layer of plants beneath the body, several other humans nearby, and perhaps during almost every part of the night, somebody whose eyes happened to be open. The strange thing is that the safest part of prehistoric sleep may not have been where a person slept. It may have been who slept beside them.